Hello everybody, I am Louise Rowe. Welcome to GLAMHIVE. We have got a series of amazing panels going on tonight. Well, it's tonight for me because I'm in the UK, but depending where you are in the world today. And I'm joined by some incredible people in the makeup industry today, Sonia, Micah and Mart Elle. If you guys don't mind introducing yourselves to the audience and talking a little bit about your backgrounds and what you're doing at the moment.
Okay, hi, I'm Sonia Young. I'm a celebrity stylist. So usually we deal with clothes, but we also are all in the business of hair, makeup, and wardrobe in the entertainment industry. So, hi.
Hi, and I'm Micah Schifman. I'm also a celebrity stylist. And yeah, what Sonia said.
Hello everyone, my name is Mart Elle. I'm living in Ukraine. I'm working in Ukraine and in Europe. And I'm managing a team of makeup artists who work on fashion shows. Also, I'm working on set and filming set, and teaching students in makeup academy and collaborating with different cosmetic brands.
Mart Elle, I'm going to start with you and ask about how did you get to where you are today?
Well, you know, I have maybe like 12 years of experience. So I started on TV. I was doing TV shows, and after that, I became a makeup artist, invited by a big cosmetic company, Mary Kay company, to train their team of makeup artists who work on different fashion shows and fashion weeks.
Awesome. And Sonia and Micah in particular, the relationship between fashion and makeup and hair, I think plays a greater role than people necessarily realize. I think when I do a lot of red carpet reporting, and certainly the way a look is styled, you know, on the face is just incredible in terms of game changing how that look comes across. Would you guys agree? Do you feel that it's an equally important part of putting a look together?
100%.
A little bit about that.
Yeah. I think that hair, makeup, and wardrobe are kind of equal parts of the look, and it's super important that everybody's on the same page because everything has to work together to accentuate the whole look. It's not, you can't just have a makeup look and a hair look and a dress. It all has to be together, and it's really helpful when everybody works together and kind of you all have a similar vision to make it all cohesive. Because I mean, you know, a certain eyeliner can throw the whole look, or a certain hairdo can, you know, can change, you know, the whole idea that you started out with. And so it's very important to have like that open communication with the hair people, with the makeup people, with the styling, and just kind of, I think it's equally as important. I think an eye or a lip, you know, can make or break an entire look.
Yeah, I totally agree with Micah, but it's also one of those things when you're in fittings and there can only be like one star. You can't have hair, makeup, in your outfit. Everything can't be the dazzle factor, you know? So if you're going for a more understated dress, that's when you kind of will look to your glam teams and say, look, like, here you go. Like, you take the ball this time, like, and you could do something more extravagant. So
yeah, absolutely agree with that. And for people that don't know, how does that process come together? Is it as simple as like, does it begin with texts and mood board images, or how does that come together when the different teams are planning a look? Let's say, I don't know if you have anecdotes that you'd like to use for different clients, but how does that process work?
It definitely starts, it depends on the team that you're working with. You know, certain clients that you have great relationships with, the hair and makeup, there's a lot of texting in the beginning, and after a fitting, if I know who's going to do the hair and makeup, I'll reach out and say, this is the dress, what are you thinking about? And we'll just kind of spitball back and forth. A lot of times what I like to do is during the fitting, once we've chosen the hero look, is kind of discuss with my client, like, oh, what do you think about this hair? What do you think about this? And then we kind of lead the conversation to the hair and makeup team and kind of say, you know, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just a conversation. And sometimes the conversation, depending on the event, you know, like for instance, a Met Ball look, you know, or an Oscars look, that conversation can start a month before, you know, and especially if you're looking for, you know, a specific, you know, a crazy eye or, you know, something really dramatic, you know, those pictures, that conversation can go on and on and on and on. And it's amazing when you can get into the room during glam time, you know, 2 hours before the event, and it's just already done. There's no questions. It's all about planning and being prepared for it.
But there's times when you're not prepared, and you sometimes will walk in and you'll be like, shit, like, you know, we'll send reference photos of what we like, you know, like sometimes if I can't be there for hair and makeup, I'll say, this is our ideal hair, this is our ideal makeup, like kind of go with it. And, you know, sometimes you trust the team to lead you in the right direction and kind of tie together the look. And sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, you really just have to have a clear communication with the teams.
Well, I think the clear communication is very important to communicate visually. So with reference pictures, with images, because personal imagination of colors, of forms, of textures is so specific, so different. So visual communication is the most important in the team.
And as detailed as possible, presumably.
Agree. Yes. You
want to just leave it all. You just want to put it all out there and say, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're wanting. This is going to complete the look. Because there's nothing better. Like, I'm sure you guys all can agree. There's nothing better when you see something on the carpet and it looks so effortless and just tied together in a perfect bow. It was never a perfect bow getting there. However, that's how we want it to look. So it's nice when it all comes together. Not so nice when it doesn't come together.
Exactly.
On that note, I always remember Jen Atkins saying a last minute, literally like 5 minutes before they had to leave, Sofia Vergara, it was like a complete change of hair, just a last minute, no, this doesn't work. Does that really happen?
I was talking to Sonia actually before this started, and I had a client at the Emmys recently, and I was there in the beginning, and she showed us a reference picture, and we'd already talked about hair and everything, and she at the last minute said, what do we think about this? And I looked at the picture and I started laughing, thinking it was a joke.
Oh God.
Because she's a very funny person, and I had to leave and go dress somebody else, and I raced back to zip her in, and her hair was not what it needed to be, and it was a disaster, and she was literally getting in the car, and I couldn't say anything because I didn't want to upset her. I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable, and I just had to keep my mouth shut because they were late for the carpet, and I was scared, and she called me from the car and she said, I don't think this is right. And I said, yeah, but there's nothing we can do. And because, you know, my hands were tied, the hair person was gone, she was in a car, and she borrowed a comb from her driver. And when I watched the carpet and watched her get out of the car, her hair was stunning. I don't know how she did it. It was a full updo, and she pulled it down and looked gorgeous. And I literally for a few minutes thought, well, this is the end of my career. But she fixed it, and in the 20 minutes that it took to get from her house to the Emmys, it was horrifying, but it worked out.
That is brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Mart Elle, what are some of the key trends that you are enjoying at the moment?
Well, for sure, everyone asks a lot about trends, and we can talk about it. And I think we should start from the main global trend in beauty industry, in fashion industry. I mean, sustainability. So what does it mean in makeup? It means for me that we need to think about real needs of our skin, to switch on to non-toxic makeup, and maybe more investigate into our skincares and to do heavy, strong coverage makeup. You know what I mean?
And guys, and a lot of the people watching, obviously we're all in the same situation where business meetings, social, dates, everything is happening on a screen right now. Could you give some advice for people, literally down to the practicality of where you should put your screen, lighting, anything you want, how to kind of look your best and feel confident in the square?
I think lighting is key. Like, I think you have to be somewhere that's really well lit, because no matter how gorgeous your makeup is, no matter how amazing the color of your top is, if you're sitting in a dark room, no one's going to be able to see that. So I think like the number one takeaway would be, one is lighting. And I think two, it's, you know, being on camera is so different than being in person. So you could have more makeup on and it's going to translate better on camera, or you could wear a brighter color and not feel as awkward about it. Like I said, it's a really good time to be experimenting with your own personal style right now, where you can kind of decide if you want to wear a red lip, if you want to start wearing color, if you want to start wearing patterns. I think now is a really good time to figure out kind of who you want to be when you come out of all this.
And I think I've been noticing on my Zoom calls and my Zoom cocktail hours that there have been several of, that when a girlfriend is on and she put makeup on, I'm just like, oh, you put a face on today, and it's exciting. And like, you know, we're used to seeing, in our business, we see everybody glam all the time, and there's been so little of that happening that when a girlfriend of mine puts on a little lippy, you know, for a Zoom call, it excites me. I'm like, oh, aren't you gorgeous today? You know, it's just, I think that when we're stuck at home, just the littlest things can really up everything. And like Sonia said, lighting with everything.
I got the
oh, there you go. Thank you. Thanks. But lighting is the most important, always, you know. It's even on a FaceTime call, you're always like looking for the right lighting. And yeah.
And would you say natural lighting is best? Second best, you can get the kind of tiny ring lights that clip on?
Yeah.
The more the better. If I could have a spotlight on my face right now, I'd love to be blown up.
I wish I had both. I wish I had like a ring light and natural light right now. It would just really pull it all together.
I mean, you have nailed it. The garden background's absolutely stunning.
I would
be wherever you are.
I thank you. Yes, it was. I was going through the house trying to find a good place, and I was like, you know, I'm going to sit outside because natural light is best.
And Mart Elle, do you have any advice?
Of course, I also use a round lamp. That's why the light is so good. And for sure, for a camera, you should do more intensive makeup and to stand out your eyes or lips or whatever.
And then from a fashion perspective, obviously it's that old kind of newsreader joke, isn't it? Whatever you want on the bottom half, but collars, necklaces, should we be playing up this kind of area, or maybe not if it's not something we're comfortable with?
I think right now, I mean, I'm clearly not a natural blonde. So I've been wearing a ton of hair accessories. I've been doing a lot of like hats, a lot of scarves. I've been like learning different ways to tie scarves into just different ways, and headbands. I think that's been, and also like earrings. Like everyone looks prettier with an earring on, you know? I think earrings and like lipstick, like you're good on a Zoom call.
Yeah, I think a statement piece up top, like for instance, Sonia's necklace is like something interesting to look at. And, you know, I'm sure she's wearing sweatpants on the bottom, but.
Maybe. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, well.
How do you, back to the process of when a client comes to you, the idea of putting together the hair, the makeup, and the total outfit, how do you decipher what's right for that particular event? And do you think that the rules have kind of gone out the window, obviously within our current situation, but red carpet's gone through so many changes. How do you kind of decide, right, this is right for this event? Or is there no particular set of rules?
I like to think that there are certain rules that I like to live by. If it's a premiere, I love to see the film before, or the TV show or whatever. I love to see what the character is wearing, what the character is like that my client is playing. And I kind of like to play against it. I like to show that they are different than their character. And, you know, if client of mine is playing somebody that's a little more, seductress or sexy, I like to, cover her up a little just to show kind of a juxtaposition between the person and the character that they're playing. I always like to play against the type that we're going to see in the thing. If it's a charity event, you think about what kind of charity it is, and you don't want them dressing, overtly sexually. It's always based on the event for me and what's I deem as appropriate.
Yeah, I feel like it's also, adding on to what Micah said, I think when you are working with celebrities is a lot of people always see them as their characters and they don't see them as individuals. And this is like their time to really show who they are and what they stand for and what their personal style is. So it's super important to just be really in touch with your client to ask what they're wanting to put out there and like what image they're wanting. And then you kind of just build upon that. And I think that's something that's really important. And I also think when you're dressing for certain events, you're not going to wear something like Micah said, you're not going to wear something super sexy to Kids' Choice Awards, or you're not going to, there's just certain rules that I think are general social cues that you just would apply to a red carpet.
And I think the same thing that Mart Elle can probably speak to this as well is makeup and hair, exactly the same situation. You're not going to wear, a dark red lip to, a Sunday, brunch or or the Veuve Clicquot thing. It's all depends on the event, I think.
Yes, for sure. First of all, I will for sure ask my clients wish how she wants look like on the event. Then I'll find out what kind of event is that day or evening. Maybe there is some dress code, maybe there is some color, or maybe some accessories have priority. Of course, I will ask her to show me her outfit. And only after all this information, I will allow myself to give some suggestions and to recommend some makeup and hair for her.
And lately, we've seen small businesses in every industry having to just pivot. How much work, or have you had any projects that you've done virally? Have you done tutorials? I know I was talking to Jessica Pastor earlier, who has done a Zoom junket already. Have you done any of those?
I
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I haven't yet. I've done a lot of like personal style just by sending some gifting or helping clients just go through their existing wardrobes, because they are making TikToks, they're going on Instagram, and they're still wanting to look their best and be putting forward the image that we've, created together. So I think it's just helping out with simple tasks, but no actual work yet.
I've noticed that because I'm not really a stylist who focuses a lot on day wear and, their personal, I always say, like, if my client can't dress themselves to get coffee, then I can't help them. But a client of mine was photographed the other day out, face mask, gloves, the whole thing. And I saw it, and she was paparazzi'd, and I saw the photo and I was like, I'm on my way. And I dropped off a whole box of clothes that I just happened to have in my kit, saying, next time you go, to the market, even though we are in quarantine and we're, up it a little bit, because it's something that I'm able to do now. Normally I wouldn't have time to, think about that kind of stuff. But now that we don't have much time to think about anything else, we're kind of focusing on a little more personal style.
Mart Elle?
Yeah, it's good time to make some tutorials, and me and my colleagues, we did an educational course for makeup artists.
Oh, awesome. And I do think, Sonia, especially what you were just saying, it's so interesting to me that, yeah, of course, actually, your clients are on TikTok. That's how anyone is engaging at the moment. And it didn't even enter my mind that they might be styled for that, but it makes total sense.
It's not even necessarily like really like styling, because I think they get so used to being, essentially handheld getting dressed, where it's like, even if you're over there getting them ready for a special event, they'll be like, okay, I bought X, Y, and Z. And we can easily look at people's wardrobes and go, dink, 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 like these 6 things, like we can make 25 outfits in 10 minutes. So I think it's one of those things that we are so used to the formula of putting together outfits where our clients aren't. And they're just kind of like, oh shit, what am I supposed to be wearing right now? So it's a light styling, it's a sprinkling, you know, a curated selection.
Yeah, and we also, I feel like, Sonia, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of what's in my clients' closets already.
Yeah.
So they can call me and say, what, you know, I'm going on Ellen tomorrow, you know, and that's all from home, or doing the late night circuit or whatever, and they're all at home. And it's like, I remember that top you showed me that you ordered, you know, throw that on with, and we can just kind of do it over the phone, and it's definitely a change, but it works.
It's so fun and refreshing to talk about clothes again.
Well, I was saying earlier, I really miss red carpet and not necessarily being on one, but just watching and seeing the images and being fed and inspired. I mean, it's hard to predict, of course, but what do you think the future of it is going to be? And do you think that visually people are just going to be like desperate for some crazy over the top looks, or will it be more pared down in the future?
I think it's going to be more pared down. I think trends are going to subside. I don't think we're going to have as much trends. I think trendiness is going to take a back seat, if you will, a little bit. I think we'll probably stick to more classic, long-term looks that can last the time, you know, a long time, because we don't know if we're gonna go back into quarantine next year for a little bit. And sometimes I'm looking at some of these throwback pictures that people are posting or that I'm posting, and I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But at the time, you know, that was such a chic look. And now it's just like, what were those huge sneakers? And I think that kind of quick trends that last for 6 months, you know, and you go and you spend $1,200 on a pair of shoes, I think that we will rethink that. I think that we will start buying shoes that will last a much longer time than just, you know, this small.
I think a big thing that we're going to see is and I think for a lot of us, it has always been quality over quantity. I think we're going to see a lot of that going forward. I think even with makeup products, hair products, I think that we really need to streamline the process of stuff. And I think that's why there's like such a hunger for knowledge on sustainability right now. And I think so many people are just wanting to work with what they have because you don't really have a choice. So I think that it's going to be really interesting moving forward. I mean, I totally agree with what Micah is saying. When you kind of get going, you're in this machine and you're doing so many looks and you're working on so many clients that you're creative, you get clouded creatively. And I think that moving forward, it's going to be a lot clearer of how to regiment your time and your creativity per each client. Because sometimes, you know, you'll think a look is amazing, and then kind of like 6 months later, I'll be like, oh, I didn't do that. And I'm like, oh God, I did that. You know, so it's going to be really interesting. And I think it's going to be more streamlined silhouettes and trends I don't think are going to exist because we don't really have the luxury of, you know, fast fashion. And I think the manpower to really pump out these looks and collections per season, I think it's going to really be pared down.
But I also think, I mean, maybe, I don't know what Mart Elle thinks about this, but because Sonia and I are talking about, you know, maybe the clothes will be calmer or more subdued, maybe makeup will have some kind of, you know, not resurgence, but like maybe makeup could, you know, will be more dramatic and I don't know.
I was just going to ask that. Does that the timelessness of clothes gives way to makeup to kind of go nuts?
Oh yeah, actually, I think that in 2020 and in future, I mean, makeup trends can be divided into 2 big groups, like all or nothing. So yeah, some of us will just do no makeup and with nude skin, almost naked skin, and not using a lot of makeup products. and the others will apply all makeup products when using and when doing makeup, really crazy things, and with bright colors, with strong lines, and with multicolors, so shadows, glittering, and so on. I think it will be like two big parts of makeup.
I feel a little bit like YouTube makeup tutorials are already a bit like that. There's that camp and there's that camp. I'm definitely in the less. We do have a few questions, actually, a couple for you, Mart Elle. Someone has said, is makeup cultural? Do people wear makeup differently based on where they're from?
Well, you know, I think yes. I noticed that that those women who have more expressive appearance, more significant facial features, they usually are more dressed up. They use more accessories. They apply more makeup and more bright makeup. For example, Oriental women, they are always wear like very intensive makeup than in Europe, for example. So I think yes, there are such differences. How do you think?
Well, I don't know if you ask me, I have a very good friend who works in skincare globally, and talking to her about what sells the most in which part of the world, and she focuses on airports, and it is just fascinating. And there are so many different patterns between, you know, let's say Russia and Asia, like you said, and then the European women. So I find that really interesting from a skincare perspective, you know, just alone that. We do have another question for you, Mart Elle. Who is your makeup muse?
I don't know. I can't say that that I have some muse, but I definitely have my philosophy of makeup, and those women who share this philosophy as well are my muses. I mean that I think that makeup shouldn't be everyday routine with tricky steps, a lot of steps. It should be like maybe a game. It should be something really like fascinating every day, trying different looks. Makeup is something like reflecting our today's mood or something, just not a routine, you know.
Something that you referenced earlier that I wanted to come back to is the idea of having the time to be inspired again. And I know personally, I've suddenly had a bit more time to read books I haven't, you know, ever even touched and wanted to. There's a little bit, things have slowed down a little bit. Do you feel the same? Have you had time to do things that you haven't done in years? And in turn, has that inspired you creatively?
I think creatively, yeah, I mean, definitely I've been inspired, but there's also been days where I'm really not inspired, and I'm like, am I ever gonna like feel pretty again? Am I ever gonna want to do something again? You know, because you get really stuck in these different stages of quarantine. So yeah, I'm on an upper end of being inspired. I think being here today has been a huge like relief. I think it's talking and seeing our peers and knowing we're all going through the same thing, and I think that we all kind of have the same takeaways. So yeah, I'm definitely inspired. I think we're just all eager to go back and create. And I think that we can see where we can do things so much better now. I think when you're in the rat race and you're going, like I said, there's so many looks that you're kind of like, ooh, don't love that. I think just like, if you can't give it 100% moving forward, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think creatively, that's a really safe place to be in.
Micah, do you have?
Completely agree. I think that, you know, when, like Sonia said, when we're in the rat race and we're just going and going, and you need, you know, 10 looks for this and coordinating hair and makeup, you're just kind of going through the motions, and you're still being creative and you're still being true to your sense of style that you want to, you know, put out into the world. But at the same time, you kind of get caught up in it and you just keep going. And I think this reset button that we've all had to go through has really kind of jump-started or reminded us of why we're in this business in the beginning, and why we started here, and we were looking for things to inspire us, and we're stuck in our homes, and I'm watching old movies, I'm reading books that I, you know, never got around to read, and all of that, it there's so much inspiration that I feel like normally we overlook. And now because we have nothing else to see, that we're just kind of being forcibly inspired, you know.
Yeah, and it's also even going back to like old rom-coms, like what a sense of like inspiration. And it's so weird to say that because I mean they are such trendy outfits, but you think about it and you kind of look at it and you pull apart the parts that are iconic. So you can kind of look at things so differently and you're like, okay, this is why this outfit worked. This is why it doesn't. How can we recreate this in the future? So it's kind of really fun. And also like reading books and making up your own characters' outfits. I've been doing a lot of that. Like I've been reading a lot and I'm like, I wonder what she's wearing. Like, you know, so it's been really fun, I think, to kind of get back in touch with why we are here.
And just to show you how starved for inspiration, I was watching the Golden Girls the other night.
Oh, I love the Golden Girls.
Yes, it's the best. And I've seen every episode 100 times, but now I'm like, that is such a chic outfit that Dorothy's wearing. And Blanche's eye makeup is really popping tonight. And it's just, it's crazy where we're finding the creativity, you know?
All that Florida furniture and the bamboo, I am all over it.
Exactly, me too.
Yeah. Mart Elle, have you had time that you haven't had for a while to feel inspired?
Yeah, sure. It's a very good time to listen to some tutorials, to speak with my colleagues and to be inspired by them. It's really good time for this.
Okay, guys, last question. Thank you so much for being part of this. For people watching at home again, and they've got 5 minutes, maybe they've got kids, whatever, 5-10 minutes to get ready for that big Zoom meeting or their Zoom date, what would you say are some of the essential products? Do you have anything to really highly recommend? Because we can still shop.
I'd say go for a strong lip and a strong earring or necklace and just live your best life on Zoom.
I agree. I think even, you know, since we have lipstick from Micah, get some cream blush and a headband so you can really just make your face pop.
Oh, I think we're a great team because me too, I like one lipstick and to do my blush and maybe eye tint and I'm ready.
And your winged eyeliner, oh my God, I can't stop staring at it. It's just perfect.
Perfect.
But thank you all so much for giving up your time and your expertise. I'm sure everybody watching really enjoyed it, and stay safe, and thank you so much for being a part of it, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.